From struggling as a stand-up comedian to becoming one of the most influential voices of the 21st century, Joe Rogan's journey is a testament to persistence, reinvention, and following your passion. This is the incredible story of how he built a media empire with the Joe Rogan Experience. Joe wasn't handed success on a silver platter. He faced rejection, self-doubt, and countless hurdles before finding his breakthrough. His story is a reminder that the path to success isn't linear. It's a winding road of ups and downs. But through grit and determination, he carved a path uniquely his own. Joe Rogan's rise to global fame wasn't the result of one defining moment. It was a culmination of relentless hard work, seizing opportunities, and constantly reinventing himself. Whether as a stand-up comedian, UFC commentator, or podcast host, Joe has never been afraid to take risks and pursue what excites him. But how did a kid from Newark, New Jersey, with no clear path to success, become one of the most influential figures in modern media? To understand Joe Rogan's journey, we need to go back to where it all began. Back to a time when life was filled with uncertainty, and resilience was his only constant. Joseph James Rogan was born on August 11, 1967, in Newark, New Jersey. His early years were challenging. His father, a police officer, left the family when Joe was just 7 years old. The separation wasn't gradual, it was sudden and complete. In interviews, Joe has described it as an abrupt cutoff. His father never reached out, never tried to reconnect, leaving Joe with a sense of abandonment that shaped his early understanding of relationships and trust. Raised by his mother, Joe's childhood became defined by change and uncertainty. The family moved frequently, living in San Francisco, Gainesville, and eventually settling in Boston. Each move meant new schools, new friends, and the constant challenge of starting over. Despite these challenges, Joe was always observant, watching and learning. He has mentioned that he often felt like an outsider, which gave him a unique lens on people and situations. He later credited this ability to people watch as a key skill that sharpened his comedic timing and helped him read a room. But beneath that observational humor was also fear. Joe admitted that as a kid, he was scared of confrontation and violence. This fear became a turning point in his life, pushing him to seek strength, not just physically, but mentally. At the age of 14, Joe discovered Taekwondo, and it became his sanctuary. He didn't just dabble in martial arts, he immersed himself. It wasn't just a sport for him, it was an escape, a way to build confidence and quiet the self-doubt. By the time he was 19, Joe had earned a black belt and won multiple championships, including the prestigious US Open Taekwondo Championship. Most people know that Joe became a Taekwondo champion, but few know the extent of his dedication. After school, he would practice for hours, perfecting his spinning back kick, arguably one of the most dangerous kicks in martial arts. Despite his success in martial arts, Joe recognized the reality. A career as a professional martial artist wasn't sustainable. He didn't want to spend his life as a coach or instructor. After graduating from high school, he briefly attended college but felt out of place. It was during this uncertain period that he discovered the world of stand-up comedy. Comedy became his new obsession. Joe started performing at open mics in the late 1980s, often facing tough crowds in small clubs. He was broke, exhausted, and constantly questioning himself, but he kept going. Finally, his hard work paid off when he landed roles on MTV's Half-Hour Comedy Hour and the sitcom News Radio. These roles introduced him to a broader audience, but Joe wasn't content to just be a TV actor. He wanted more. While his comedy career was gaining momentum, Joe developed a deep passion for mixed martial arts. In the late 1990s, he joined the UFC as a backstage interviewer. At the time, the UFC was far from the global phenomenon it is today, but Joe saw its potential. Joe's love for MMA wasn't superficial. He trained rigorously and studied every aspect of the sport. His deep knowledge caught the attention of UFC executives when he was spotted training at gyms and passionately discussing fight techniques. They offered him the role of backstage interviewer, where his authentic enthusiasm quickly stood out. When he transitioned from backstage interviewer to color commentator, he brought unmatched insight and enthusiasm to the role. His commentary wasn't just analysis, it was storytelling, bringing fights to life for millions of viewers. In 2001, he officially joined the UFC as a commentator. Over the next 2 decades, Joe became synonymous with MMA. His voice captured the intensity of every fight, and his passion helped legitimize the sport in the eyes of mainstream audiences. While thriving in the UFC, Joe took a chance on an entirely new medium in 2009, podcasting. The Joe Rogan Experience, which started as casual conversations recorded in a laptop-filled studio, quickly evolved into a platform for long-form, unfiltered discussions. Unlike traditional media, there were no scripts, no time limits, and no off-limit topics. Joe's willingness to invite guests from all walks of life, scientists, comedians, athletes, and controversial figures, set his podcast apart. Each episode was a deep dive into topics ranging from quantum physics to psychedelics. Audiences were captivated, and the show grew exponentially. What started as an experiment became a global phenomenon. The Joe Rogan Experience broke every rule of traditional media and succeeded. By 2020, Joe signed an exclusive deal with Spotify, reportedly worth $100 million, one of the largest podcast deals in history. Beyond the money, Joe's podcast became a cultural force. His episodes with guests like Elon Musk, Jordan Peterson, and Bernie Sanders sparked conversations worldwide. One of his most viral moments came when Elon Musk smoked a blunt during their discussion, a moment that encapsulated the unpredictability and authenticity of the show. The aftermath was immediate. Tesla's stock dipped temporarily, and the clip went viral, prompting debates about professionalism and authenticity in media. Today, Joe's podcast reaches millions of listeners across the globe. It's not just a show, it's a platform for dialogue, challenging ideas, and exploring the unknown. Joe has redefined what it means to be a media personality in the digital age. Despite his podcast success, Joe remains active in stand-up comedy, the UFC, and his other passions, including bow hunting. An avid outdoorsman, he often shares stories of hunting trips and the discipline required for bow hunting, something he likens to a meditative practice. This connection to nature reflects his belief in self-reliance and living with intention. He balances multiple passions, proving that you don't have to choose one path to succeed. His story is a blueprint for chasing your interests and letting them evolve naturally. Joe Rogan's story isn't just about success, it's about evolution. From a scared and abandoned kid in Newark to a martial arts champion, from a struggling comedian to a media powerhouse, Joe's life is proof that struggle and adversity don't have to define you. They can fuel your journey and shape your path to success. His journey teaches us that success isn't a straight line. It's a collection of decisions made despite fear, setbacks, and uncertainty. Whether he was risking failure at open mics or betting on a new medium like podcasting, Joe leaned into discomfort and stayed true to what lit him up inside. One of Joe's biggest lessons is this: mastery isn't built overnight. It's the result of curiosity and self-discipline. By following what fascinated him, he created something the world couldn't ignore. As Joe often reminds his listeners, be the hero of your own movie.
Be the hero of your own movie. If your life was a movie and it started now, forget about whatever financial disasters you've had, personal failures, relationship failures. What would the hero of your life's movie do right now? Do that. Do those things. We define ourselves far too often by our past failures. We look at our past and we say, well, that's me. That's not you. You are this person right now. You're the person who's learned from those failures, and you can choose to be the hero of your own movie right now.
Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know who we should cover next. And remember, struggle might just be your path to success. Until next time.